Hi guys, we are back with our frogs today. I wanted to make sure everybody got a good close-up of our tadpole, but there is something different about him today. The last time we were here, the last time we checked in, our tadpole had 2 back legs. Do you guys see his front legs out now? They're tinier than his back legs. Here, let me see if I can point with this. But he has got 2, one right there, and one right there. 2 little front legs. So he is definitely developing and growing. He looks happy and strong. You can see his tail wiggling in the water and his mouth moving. So that is very exciting. That's a big development we have this week with our littlest tadpole. I'll bring you over. He looks pretty cool and he's showing off for us. Look at him. He's floating right there so we can see. I was having trouble getting a picture of it earlier, but we can see all 4 of his legs. 2 in the back and 2 in the front. That's fantastic. And the next guy is hiding a little bit. He's in the back. This is our somewhat smaller frog. Let me see if I can. Sometimes when I move them around, they just swim to the other side. Let me see if I can bring him up so you can see him better. This is the little guy. He's in there. And here is one of our frogs swimming around. And our oldest frog right there, just kind of hanging out. They're all kind of just doing their thing. So, this guy's swimming. Look at him go. It's a good day for swimming. So today we are going to spend a little bit of time talking about frogs and one of their closely related friends, toads. Frogs and toads. We are going to talk about some of the differences. Sorry, my finger's in the way. Take a minute to get the camera back on here. That is totally out of focus. Give me just 1 second here. A little wobbly. There we go, coming into focus. Oh, I'd like to be able to see, let's see, the tadpoles, the frogs, and the board behind me. Can we get that all in? I had it before. Hold on just a second, guys. All right, we're gonna go there for now, and I'll move it down in just a little bit. So we're gonna hang out there for a second. I have got Theo with me today. He's gonna help us. Try not to kick the tripod, honey, because it's right up against. Let's see if you can go around on that side. I'll meet you over there. So, smile and say hi. Hi. Scoot down just a little bit. So we are going to talk about frogs, which is what we have here, what we have in our observation tanks, and this is a picture of a bullfrog. And we are going to talk about toads, which look a lot like frogs.
Is that the actual size of a toad?
I did not print this one to scale, so this is not the actual size of toad, and I don't know. I'm not sure what how big the biggest toad is. I'd have to look that up. But we're going to talk about some of the common differences between frogs and toads. So when you see them, they kind of look the same, but how can you tell them apart? So we've got frogs and we've got toads. You can help out with toads, okay? So frogs live in groups. Lots of animals live in groups. You might have heard the expression like a flock of birds. A group of birds is called a flock. Or you might have heard, do you know what they call fish that live in a group? Do you guys know what they call fish that live in a group? They call it a school, just like we go to school together.
Oh, yeah.
A group of fish together is called a school. Well, frogs, a group of frogs that live together is called an army. Army. So we've got another word for our word wall. I think that's pretty cool. An army of frogs. I'm going to put that up there. I'm standing in front of it, so I don't know if you guys can see.
Wow, we have a big word wall.
Army. We do have a lot of words on our word wall. So frogs like to live in groups, and those groups are called armies. Theo, if you come down to toad, how do they live?
Solitary.
Solitary. So toads kind of like to live on their own. Yeah, like, you know, one toad and then he needs some space and then there will be another toad. So frogs lay eggs in clusters. We looked at the, that's right. You want to bring that up to the camera and show them, look through the back to make sure you're holding that up right. So, oops, frogs lay eggs in clusters. That's like a big group of jelly-like round. These pictures were taken at an Audubon Center in a vernal pool. So frogs, hold on just a minute, you're going to get ahead of me just a second. So frogs lay their eggs in clusters. It's all those tiny little round jelly-like balls with the black dot inside. Those are the frogs forming. Toads, yes, toads lay their eggs in a chain. You're saying it kind of quietly. I don't know if everybody can hear you. So this is the same pond that these frog eggs were in, but these are some toad eggs. And I'll let Theo bring it around, but I'm going to come to try to point. It's kind of hard to see. And if you were looking in a pool and you saw this, you would probably never even guess that those are eggs. But the toad eggs are these squiggly black chains of teeny tiny eggs. So isn't that cool? I mean, would you ever think that those were eggs if you saw them? Those are really cool.
The eggs are like the same exact thing, but how they lay them are much different.
Yeah. And they're not quite as big. You can see, you know, compared to the leaves in that pool, that the toad eggs look different. Frogs and toads are both amphibians though. So do you guys remember the characteristics of an amphibian?
Eats everything.
No, that's an omnivore that eats everything. So an amphibian, again, is cold-blooded, right? I'll give you another clue. What's an amphibian? An amphibian
has a spine.
Has a spine, so it's a vertebrate. And amphibians, at some point in their development, they don't breathe through lungs. They breathe through, what do fish have?
Fins.
No, they don't breathe through their fins. They have gills,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
So at some point in their life cycle, amphibians breathe through gills.
That was the second thing.
Yeah. So frogs live in groups. They lay eggs in clusters. Toads are solitary. They lay their eggs in a chain. Frogs have moist, smooth, and slimy skin. What's the skin of a toad like, Theo? Can you look on your...
Dry and bumpy.
It's dry and bumpy. Yeah. So
I've picked up a toad before.
Yes.
They're very weird.
Yes, Theo has picked up toads before. They are dry and bumpy. If you take a good look at that picture, you can see all those bumps on him, right?
There's a lot.
Yeah. That's another difference. Frogs, you guys, frogs have teeth. They have teeth. Most frogs only have teeth on their upper jaw, on the top of their mouth. And they don't really use them to chew and bite up food, but they use them to hold the food that they've caught. So frogs have teeth. Theo, how about toads?
No teeth.
No teeth. Toads don't have teeth. Frogs have bulgy, round eyes that stick up out of the top of their heads. They can actually see all around with these eyes, these round eyes that stick up out of their heads. They can see all around. And when they swallow, their eyeballs go down into their head. They go in there, and it helps them push the food down their throat, right? That's kind of cool.
They're kind of like fish, where a frog has. I just looked at them. Frog has an eye here and an eye here, but we have two eyes
in the front. Right. There's a rhyme for that. I just don't remember it right now. So frogs have bulgy, round eyes. Toads, what do toads have, Theo?
No bulgy, football-shaped eyes.
Non-bulgy, football-shaped eyes. Yeah. So if you look at the picture of the frog, you can see. You want to bring that up to the camera just so they can see his eye a little bit better. They're not totally round. They're kind of football-shaped. Can you see that? Okay. Frogs have, thank you. Frogs have long, strong back legs. Remember we talked about how far they can jump? Some can jump 10 to 20 times the length of their body. Toads, what do toads have?
Shorter, weaker back legs.
Shorter and weaker back legs. So most toads can only jump like one body length, right? They have to do a lot more hopping to get as far as a frog can get with one big jump. Frogs need to be near water. How about toads? They don't need to be near water. So they're going to lay their eggs in water, but after that, they don't really need to be near water. Frogs are slimmer. And how about toads?
Chubbier.
Toads are chubbier. They've got a little more heft to them. Frogs have many, many predators. Do you guys know what a predator is?
Something to eat them?
Yeah. A predator is something that will eat them. So there are lots of things out there that eat frogs.
Is that
Snakes,
why they need to be near
birds. No, being near water, no, their camouflage helps protect them from predators, but some of their predators are in the water. But how about toads?
They don't have many predators.
Toads do not have many predators. Toads taste disgusting. It's true. So lots of things do not like to eat them. So
They probably wouldn't like frogs either.
right?
They're just nuts.
Yeah. Frogs have long, sticky tongues. And how about toads?
They have shorter and not really sticky tongues.
Shorter, non-sticky tongues. So those are some of our differences. So if you're out and you see something hopping around and you're not sure if it's a frog or a toad, you can think about some of those characteristics and see if you can figure out if it's a frog or a toad. I'm going to read you just a couple pages of this book called Frogs, Toads, and Turtles. And this is a nonfiction book that's going to give you some facts. But then when we're done, we're going to read, before we're done, we're going to read a story too.
They can't see you.
I know I'm coming. No, please don't move it.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm coming to the camera for this one. I'm going to come to the camera. So, whoops, I'm going to shake it. So we're going to look at this page, which is the introduction page to frogs. And it says, can I hold this far enough away so you can see it? Yeah. Frogs are amphibians. They can live on land and in the water. Some are even found in trees. They are often found in groups. And remember, those groups are called an army. Most frogs have sleek bodies with smooth skin. Rather than drinking through their mouths, frogs absorb water through their skin, which must be moist to keep them alive. Frogs do not have ribs. So remember, they're vertebrates and they have a spine, but they don't have ribs. They make soft landings on their chest when they leap. Frogs can jump longer than the length of their bodies. And for its size, a frog can swim 10 times faster than the fastest human swimmer. There are several ways that frogs defend themselves from danger. They are slippery to catch and hold. They dive deep and stay underwater for long periods of time. They leap away from danger. Their skin color and markings help them hide. Some may play dead. Others puff up to make themselves seem bigger. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about toads. Let me get to the right page. So here's our toad. Can you see him? Yeah. Toads are amphibians like frogs, but toads prefer dry land. They would rather be near water than in it. They are often found by themselves rather than in a group. So they like to be solitary. Their bodies are chubby and their skin is rough and bumpy. It is dry, not moist or slippery. Toads have short, thick legs. They only hop distances shorter than the length of their bodies. A toad's color helps it hide from enemies. Another toad defense is that their skin tastes bad to enemies that might try to eat them. Some people think you can get warts from toads, but that's not true. Toads don't even have warts, they just have bumps on their skin. So, those are some facts about frogs and toads. And I don't know if any of you have ever read any stories about Frog and Toad, the characters, but we love them, and I'm going to read you one today. So in this book series, there's a frog and a toad, and they are good friends. So I think, I'm sorry the last time I did a video, I realized afterwards that my head was cut off, but I think the angles are going to be better today. So this book is called, can you just check for me, Theo, and make sure my head's not cut off?
It's not.
Okay, and you can see the book in the window? You guys can see me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
You can see part of the table too.
That's okay. I can't move it. This book is called Frog and Toad Are Friends, and it's by Arnold Lobel. We are going to read the story. This is a collection of stories, but we're going to read the one called Spring. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the door. There was no answer. Toad! Toad! Shouted Frog. Wake up! It's spring! Blah, said a voice from inside the house. Toad! Toad! Cried Frog. The sun is shining. The snow is melting. Wake up! I am not here, said the voice. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. Toad, where are you? Called Frog. Go away, said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was lying in bed. He had pulled all the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. Help, said Toad. I cannot see anything. Don't be silly, said Frog. What you see is the clear, warm light of April. And it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Just think of it, said Frog. We will skip through the meadow and run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on this front porch and count the stars. You can count them, Frog, said Toad. I will be too tired. I'm going back to bed. Toad went back into the house. He got into the bed and pulled up the covers. But Toad, cried Frog, you will miss all the fun. Listen, Frog, said Toad, how long have I been asleep? You've been asleep since November, said Frog. Well then, said Toad, a little more sleep will not hurt me. Come back again and wake me up at about 1/2 May. Good night, Frog. But Toad, said Frog, I will be lonely until then. Toad did not answer. Frog looked up at Toad's calendar. The November page was still on top. Frog tore off the November page. He tore off the December page, and the January page, the February page, and the March page. He came to the April page. Frog tore off the April page too. Then Frog ran back to Toad's bed. Toad, Toad, wake up! It's May now! What? Said Toad. Can it be May so soon? Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar. The May page was on top. Why, it is May, said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in spring. That's the end. So I'll adjust the camera again so you guys can look at the frogs and tadpoles. Some of them are moving around. Let me see the best way to do this. Maybe just tip it down. Okay, and Theo, do you want to give the 3 frogs a little of the clapping powder so maybe they'll be a little more active while we leave the camera?
Small spoon.
Teeny tiny spoon.
Which ones?
Not the tadpole, but the 3 grown frogs can, yeah, I'm sorry, that is the right one. I'm sorry. I thought that was the food one for some reason.
But the food one's in a bag.
Mm-hmm. Well, the frog food is in a little jar like that, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's not
Hopefully
food.
they'll be a little active for you guys so you can watch them. And I'm going to leave it running for a little bit, and we will be back with our frogs again in another couple of days. guys. Thanks for checking in on our frogs. We'll be back again soon. Ooh, let's watch that guy. The guy on the end is swimming around. He's gonna stay up at the top.